I found the key inside the wall, not in a box, not wrapped, not hidden carefully, just resting inside the hollow space between the studs, like someone had slipped it through the drywall decades ago and expected the house to swallow it. I only discovered it because of the scratching. For 2 weeks, every night around 2:14 a.m., I heard something dragging along the inside of my bedroom wall. Slow, deliberate, like a fingernail tracing the wooden frame from the bottom to the top. I told myself it was mice or raccoons or something normal, but there was nothing normal about the sound. It never moved around randomly like an animal. It followed a pattern, always slow, always steady, always stopping right behind my headboard. So one night, half asleep and pissed off, I slammed my fist against the wall. The scratching stopped instantly. A pause. Then 3 slow taps tapped back from inside the wall. My blood turned cold. I didn't sleep the rest of the night. The next morning, I bought a cheap drywall saw from Home Depot. I told myself I was doing it to check for mold or a leak or a nest. Anything to avoid admitting the truth. I needed to know what the hell was behind there. When I cut out the small square of drywall, dust poured out like the wall exhaled. I expected insulation or wires. Instead, I saw something metallic sitting perfectly upright between the studs. A key. Old, heavy iron, the bow shaped like a human skull. The teeth, jagged, uneven, almost like a jawbone. It was cold, freezing cold, colder than it had any right to be, but the worst part wasn't the key. It was the marking carved into the wood beam behind it, a handprint. Deep grooves, 5 long fingers, too long, almost twice the length of mine. I dropped the key immediately. That's when the drywall square, the one I had cut out, suddenly shifted on the floor like something tapped it from below. No breeze, no movement, just a single knock from the underside of the piece I had just removed. I backed away fast and left the room. I didn't go back until night. The key was still lying in the middle of the floor, right where I dropped it. Except it wasn't cold anymore. It was warm, warm like it had been held, warm like someone, or something, had been touching it the entire time I was gone. I should have left it alone, I know that now. But curiosity makes you stupid. Loneliness makes you reckless, and I was both. So, like an idiot, I picked up the skull key and turned it over in my hand. That's when I noticed something I swear wasn't there earlier, a second handprint on the wooden beam. Smaller, still too long, but unmistakably new. Like something inside the wall had pressed its hand there while I was gone. And when I touched the key again, the wall behind me exhaled. A long, slow breath of cold air that brushed the hair at the back of my neck. I dropped the key again. This time it didn't hit the floor. It just hung in the air for half a second, suspended, like invisible fingers were holding it. Then it fell, hard, the lights flickered. Something moved behind the drywall. Not scratching, not tapping, crawling, dragging, pulling itself upward. I backed against the door, every breath jagged, every heartbeat pounding hard enough to shake my ribs. The key lay between me and the wall, and suddenly I understood. The key belonged to something. And whatever it belonged to was still inside my walls. That night I couldn't sleep, not even on the couch. The tapping returned at exactly the same time, 2:14 a.m. Except this time, it didn't stop behind my headboard. It moved to the closet, to the door, lower, lower, until it was right behind the baseboard. I sat frozen on the couch, listening. Then 4 slow taps, not random, rhythmic, like knocking, like asking. Then silence. When I looked across the room, I saw the key sitting upright against the baseboard like someone had gently placed it there. I hadn't touched it. I had left it in the bedroom, but there it was, waiting like a dog sitting patiently by the door for its owner to let it out. I felt a pulse of dread so sharp it made my stomach drop. The key wanted to open something, but I didn't know what or where. I carried it outside and threw it into the trash. At 2:14 the next morning, I woke to the sound of metal sliding across wood. The key was on my nightstand, standing upright, facing me, like a damn person. I tried to leave the house. The front door wouldn't open. The latch twisted, but the door felt held shut from the outside. I tried the back door, stuck. I tried the windows, all sealed. It was like the house had locked itself. I backed away from the window and stepped on something, the key. It was warm again, hot even, like a heartbeat. The walls around me creaked, shifted, groaned, not like settling wood, like breathing. Something whispered behind the drywall. Not words, just sound. The kind of sound a throat makes before forming language. I stood frozen, the key burning in my palm, when the whisper finally became a word. A rasp, a scrape, a voice dragged across bone. Open. I dropped the key, screaming, but the voice continued. Open, open, open. Then the closet door slowly creaked open on its own, dark inside. Too dark. A darkness that didn't look like absence of light. It looked like a hole into somewhere else. Something moved in it, slowly, deliberately, and as it stepped forward, its hand reached out into the light, a long, pale hand with fingers twice as long as any human's. The same hand that had carved the prints in my wall, the same hand that had held the key, and when its face came into view, it was wearing a skull, not like a mask, like a head. A human skull fused onto something that wasn't remotely human. It opened its mouth, hinging two wide bones, cracking a wet sucking noise beneath the skull, and whispered the same word again. Open. I ran. I don't even remember moving. Just the crash of the door behind me as I bolted into the hallway. But when I looked down, the key was in my hand again, burning, pulsing, alive, and the creature's voice echoed from the walls. You found the key. Now open the door. That was the night I realized the key didn't fit any lock in my house. It fit a door I hadn't found yet. A door that wasn't supposed to be opened. A door that wasn't in this world. And the creature in my walls wanted me to find it. The metal door groaned as if breathing. Cold air slid through the gaps and brushed against my skin. Too cold, like it had been trapped for centuries. The skeleton key pulsed in my palm, its silver bones shifting faintly, like tiny joints trying to wake up. I swallowed hard. I shouldn't be here. I whispered. The key turned hot, almost burning, like it disagreed. Then, the door unlocked itself. A slow, ancient click echoed through the underground hall. My heart hammered. There was no going back now. I pushed. The door opened. The room of bones inside was a circular chamber carved from black stone. Ribs, actual ribs, arched up to form the ceiling. The walls were lined with shelves. And on each shelf, glowing with a dim, sickly blue light, sat hundreds of skulls, each one whispering. I couldn't understand the words at first, but the more I listened, the clearer they became. Free us. Turn the key. Release. Then one voice cut through the others. A familiar voice. My dad's. Get out. Now. My legs went weak. Dad. Dad. I shouted into the darkness. Another whisper floated from deeper inside. Come. To me. The skeleton key twisted again in my hand, pulling me deeper, guiding me like a leash. I followed. I shouldn't have. The throne of the collector at the end of the chamber stood a throne made of stacked bones, spines interwoven, skulls forming its armrests. Sitting on the throne was a tall figure draped in rotting, ancient robes. A hood covered its face, at least. I thought it was a hood until it moved. The hood lifted enough to reveal empty eye sockets, nothing inside but darkness. That moved. The collector. The creature whispered, You have the key, give it to me. I froze. Dad's voice whispered again, pained, desperate, Don't give it to him, whatever you do. Don't. My hand trembled. I don't understand. I yelled, Why do you want it? Who are you? The collector rose to its feet, bones cracking, robes dragging on the stone floor. I am the keeper of those who break the rules of life and death. It hissed, and that key belongs to me. No, Dad's voice whispered, It belongs to you. You earned it. Do not let him take it. I turned slowly toward the far wall. There between two shelves was a skull glowing brighter than all the others. My dad's. I felt sick. That meant he was dead. He died inside this place, and his soul was trapped inside that skull. My knees buckled. Tears blurred my vision. The collector stepped closer. If you give me the key, it whispered, I will let you leave, alive. I lifted the key. It began to glow brighter and brighter until my whole hand vibrated. Then I understood. Asterisk, asterisk, the key doesn't unlock doors. It unlocks souls. Asterisk, asterisk, Dad. I whispered, I can free you. The collector's voice boomed, Do not dare. The chamber erupted in screams from every skull. The floor shook. Bones rattled from the shelves. The collector lunged. I turned the skeleton key toward my dad's skull. The collector shrieked. Stop. But I didn't. I stabbed the key into the skull's forehead. Light exploded, the chamber cracked, the shelves collapsed, the skull shattered, and the collector screamed. An unholy sound like 1,000 deaths at once. The ground opened beneath me. I fell. Darkness swallowed everything. The field of shadows. I woke, lying in a field under a black sky. Wind blew across dead grass. Someone stood beside me. Get up, kid, Dad. But he didn't look like I remembered. His body flickered. Half whole, half shadow. The skeleton key lay beside him, burned black and cracked. Am I dead? I whispered. He shook his head. Not yet. But you destroyed the chamber. You freed the souls, hundreds of them. He'll come for you now. My heart froze. The collector. Dad nodded. He doesn't forgive. He hunts. I picked up the damaged key. What do I do? Dad looked into the darkness stretching across the horizon. You run. And you never open another door with that thing. Not one. Because the collector can track every lock you turn. The wind shifted. I smelled rot. Dad's face went pale. He found us. The sky darkened. A tall silhouette appeared in the distance, bones glowing beneath torn robes. The collector. Dad grabbed my shoulders. Run, go. But what about you? He smiled sadly. I'm already dead. You're not. Run. I turned and sprinted into the endless field. The ground trembled behind me. The collector's voice boomed, shaking the entire world. You cannot escape the key. The last thing I heard before the darkness closed in Dad yelling, "Don't stop." Then I woke up on my bedroom floor, gasping, sweating. The skeleton key sat in my hand, burned and cracked exactly like in the dream, and on the ceiling above my bed. Written in long, dark scratches, "You freed what was mine." Below it, "Now I'll take something of yours." Something small rolled off my nightstand, and I looked down. My house key. It had turned silver into bone. The skeleton key had chosen another lock, and I knew the collector was coming through it. And that is where the story ends.